Michigan deer hunters, today is the day. It is November 15th, opening day of Michigan gun season. I'm tucked back into the timber this morning in what has been a very quiet start to opening day. This has probably been the slowest first half hour of opening day I've ever heard on this farm as far as hearing shots. My dad is sitting about 300 yards away from me on a field edge. And Hunter, Lance, and Steve are all out as well this morning. Most, if not all of us, are going to be hunting all weekend. So we're going to take you through what everyone sees. With any luck, we'll have some good buck encounters and maybe be able to pull the trigger and let some lead fly a few times.
It's opening morning here in Michigan. And instead of deer season, it really feels like turkey season. It's pretty warm out. I've been just covered up in turkeys all morning. I've only seen one small fawn way off in the distance. But this spot I'm hunting is the same spot I've sat in for about the past 2 weeks, pretty consistently. I've had some pretty nice deer on camera and also seen quite a few good deer. Just wasn't able to seal the deal. So hoping. That was the 18th shot I've heard so far this morning. We're only about a half an hour into season, so seems to be other people are having some luck. Well, it's November 15th, opening day of the firearm season here in Michigan. It's far from the snowy morning I was hoping for. It's super overcast, no wind, about 50 degrees out already. Definitely less than ideal conditions, but you never know with today what could come out. It's kind of a bittersweet day for me. The bow hunting, where I hunt in this area, there's not a lot of bow hunters around, so the bow hunting seems to be pretty good because there's a lot of nice bucks that don't get pressured much, but as soon as the guns come out, it seems like everyone in the area is out hunting, so a lot of these bucks that can kind of get on during bow season turn nocturnal and disappear pretty fast. So about 75 yards from where I was last weekend, on November 9th, I had a really close call with one of the biggest bucks I've ever seen. He's a 10-point. I've had a lot of history of him over here. He's been on and off on this farm for about 3 years now. Really big buck. Worked into about point blank. He was right behind the tree I was sitting in. He wouldn't come into one of my shooting lanes. Kind of last minute before he turned around and walked away, he kind of broke towards one of my lanes. I thought it was going to happen. It would have been like a 12-yard shot. He was there for 10 or 12 minutes, and he just would not give me a shot. So there's been several shooter bucks hanging around this area, but I've already heard some neighbors shoot, so who knows how many of those bucks are still around. I had 5 does work through already this morning. You can tell they're pretty spooky already, so hopefully they bring a buck in, or you never know, a neighbor could spook a buck this way, so I'm gonna sit tight for a while this morning and see what happens.
O'clock update. I got some good footage of a squirrel. He's a fast little bugger. Still have yet to see a white-tailed deer. This will be the first opening day of gun season that I've ever got shut out in the morning hunt. That's deer hunting for ya. plan for tonight is I'm going to go sit on the edge of a pick bean field in a stand that I haven't hunted this year yet. So we will see you in the tree this afternoon.
Well, my hunt was going pretty good tonight. I was up to 11 deer. I was seen at about 4:30. Farmer came out to run off the rest of the corn back behind me, which kind of didn't help me tonight. Right before he got over here, it was about 4:45. There was some more deer trickling out here in front of me from the swamp. There's a doe that came out to about 40 yards, and she kept looking behind her. It looked like there was another deer, maybe a few deer coming. And the combine came back here and blew them all out, so I guess we'll see what happens. Still got about a half-hour daylight left, but as you can hear, they're running kind of right behind me, so I'm not sure I'll see much, so I guess we'll see.
What a slow opening day for me. I had a doe come through in the woods, obviously bumped, and then I heard a snort wheeze in the woods. I'm like, alright, here comes a decent buck. And what followed was about a 3-inch spike horn. I got the doe that I'm guessing he bumped out here in the field. But very, very frustrating day. That's gonna bring opening day to a close. Didn't sound like anyone else got any shots. If they did, we'll bring it to you, but if not, we'll see you at sunup in the morning.
Well, it's about 11 o'clock. I'm probably going to call it a morning here in a couple minutes. Ended up seeing, I think, 8 or 9 deer. It's about 8 o'clock, or more like 8:30, there was a lone doe behind me in the cut corn. And a little after 9, there was a doe and a fawn out in the corn behind me. They were kind of running around. The doe was panting real heavy. I thought maybe a buck might be behind them, but nothing. And then about 9:30, there was a doe and 2 more fawns back in that corn. So the other end of the field is still standing corn, so it looks like those deer are kind of coming out of there and feeding behind me. And then about 10:15, I had a lone, I think it was a doe fawn, kind of worked the edge of the swamp here in front of me. So should be back out here tonight. If I see any bucks tonight that are borderline, I'm probably going to take a crack at them. It's getting to that time of the season where kind of after opening day, all the bucks get pretty scarce. So if I see a decent buck, Might be my last opportunity at one, so probably take a crack at it, but I'll be back here tonight and we'll see how it all unfolds.
I'm in for the evening of November 16th. This morning was brutally slow. I just saw one spike and one doe, and my dad saw 3 fawns. Him and I, through 3 total hunts combined, have seen less than 10 deer. So the start to gun season here has not been very good. I came into the same spot this evening that I hunted this morning. I just feel like the best chance of catching a buck that I want to shoot cruising through is going to be along this thick river bottom and not on a field edge. But my dad is sitting on the field edge with this 450 about 200 yards away, and he can cover most, if not anything, that comes into that cornfield. So if anything is crossing woods blocks from our area over to the other sections, and they should buck by one of us. But it just takes one. Hopefully at least a doe can walk out and give my dad a shot, if not a decent buck, and I'll be in here in the thick stuff waiting for Mr. Big and waiting to hear him shoot and hopefully track one tonight.
Welcome. It is Saturday afternoon, November 16th, and we're back at it for the evening. To say the opening weekend has been slow would be a huge understatement. I've only seen like 4 little deer in 3 sets. So very little movement, very little shooting, and a lot of deer camp has went home. So Alex and I are out to give it another shot. We know there's still some decent bucks around, just need one to come through. And right now I'd be happy with a big old doe to at least have one for the freezer. But we shall see. We're in the trusty shack, and I've had a lot of luck out of here with a gun, so fingers crossed. Well, I have a buck down. It's not the biggest buck in the world, but looked like a 2-year-old, and it was limping, and I hope it's a 2-year-old, but things have been pretty grim, and needed one for the freezer and really wanted to pull the trigger, so he's laying there dead in the field. All right, got her done.
Well, that was cool. I just filmed my dad. I think I had it on camera. Shoot that 4x2. I've seen that buck numerous times, and he had a pretty bad limp going on. I'm shaking. I'm excited. That was cool. Had a pretty bad limp going on. Don't know if he got hurt himself during the rut or what happened. He wasn't limping. Last weekend, it's actually the buck I grunted in and passed with my bow, and then almost shot out of this same spot in the saddle. So that was cool. I'm fired up. He's which my dad will tell you this, he's not a real big one, but he's a 2-year-old, and with the limp, he said on the phone, it kind of sealed the deal that he was going to shoot him. Obviously, he had some kind of injury, so fired up. That was cool.
Got one. Not the biggest buck on the farm, but he's a 2-year-old, and he had a pretty good limp to him, so that kind of sealed the deal. And it's been a long season, and we're not seeing a ton of deer, and my trigger finger was awfully itchy, so we scratched it. Yeah, not bad. He's cool. 2, 3, 4. He's a 7-point. Nice. Not bad at all. All right, here he is. I probably would have shot this deer, maybe because I don't have a deer yet and we're not seeing a ton, and I know he's a nice 2-year-old, but he came out of the swamp and definitely had a limp as well, so that kind of sealed the deal. I was going to take him, and yeah, I just waited till he gave me a good clear shot, and I shot, and I think I put a good lethal hit on him high in the lungs, and he bolted and went about 50 yards, but then stopped and just kind of stood there and looked around, and I'm like, man, you know, you never know. So I had him right on it, and I put it somewhere high in the shoulder neck, and I think I hit him somewhere in here and piled him right up. So Alex has seen this deer a few times. I've seen him as well, and we got pictures of him. So he's been one of our regulars, and now he's gonna feed us this winter. But yeah, great deer, super happy with him. It'll be easy to get him out, and long, slow weekend will end well.
Well, I'm getting ready to wrap up my last morning hunt of this weekend. Overall, this past 3 days of hunting's been super uneventful for me. I think the weather was one factor to it. It's just been kind of warm and overcast and cloudy every day, not very ideal, like rutting opening day conditions. Another factor, I think, was pressure. This year seemed way worse than past, with hunting pressure in the area. There were some guys set up for my normal gun spot, like 100, 120 yards from me. They were shooting like crazy all weekend, so I think that kind of blew out a lot of the nice bucks. Been seeing a lot of does this weekend, but really no bucks with them at all. I've only seen, I think, 2 bucks this weekend, both small, so probably a couple more weeks before I'm back out hunting, but not looking too promising for me, wrapping my tag around a big Michigan buck this fall. But I guess we'll stay tuned in a couple weeks and see if my luck changes.
Well, that's going to do it for opening weekend here for my dad and I. Overall, the movement was pretty slow, but my dad was able to punch that tag last night, which was really cool. That was a fun experience. Being with him, being able to recover a buck and getting to watch him shoot it, that was pretty neat as well. I know some of the others had some action. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite the action they had all hoped as well, but that's kind of been the story of the season so far. We appreciate everybody following along through our ups and downs. Hopefully you've got some entertainment or learned something out of watching us struggle over the season. But we have had a little bit of success here and there. It's been a lot of fun to bring everyone along on our journeys. From this point forward, we're definitely going to be hunting less, especially here in the next couple of weeks as vacation time runs out and the pressure starts to build. We'll definitely be out here and there. With that being said, I'm not sure if we'll be posting every Wednesday consistently from here on out like we have been, just because people aren't hunting as much and it's harder to find time to go out and build stories worthwhile of really documenting. But we'll definitely bring you any action that we have, any good hunts, and definitely we'll still be in the woods here and there. So we'll show you anything we come up with. I know a lot of Michigan hunters kind of write the rest of the season off after this opening day or opening weekend, but there is still good hunting to be had, especially in December when things cool down, when snow gets on the ground and deer are really thinking food. If you have a good food source or where the deer are at that time of year, the hunting can be phenomenal. I know that's one of my favorite times to hunt. So we're definitely going to try to key in on that too as the season progresses. We're only just technically over halfway of the season, so you can believe it, it feels like the best parts are behind us, but there is still a lot more time on that calendar to go out and punch a tag if you haven't, so stay after them. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you back in the woods sometime shortly for the next episode of 93 Days, and until then, good luck.